Hi guys, welcome back to Herky the Cavalier's channel. My name is Mai, this is Herky, this is Milton, and if you're new to our channel, welcome. If you like Herky and Milton's hoodies, we got them as a present from Doggy Swag Shop, and if you want to get them, I'll be linking them down below, but I'm obsessed. It's so cute, and I think they just look adorable in red. So today I just wanted to talk to you more in depth and answer some questions about emotional support animals. Every single time we travel and every single time we upload a video about this, we get more and more questions. So I always think it's a good idea to kind of follow up with you guys and answer some commonly asked questions and maybe clarify some things. Also, I wanted to mention that we just traveled to St. Louis, Missouri, and it seems like the rules have changed in Canada. So this video is basically to tell you that rules do change regarding emotional support animals, service animals, anything. So I always encourage you to check and to do your research every single time that you plan on traveling with your dog. The rules tend to change quite a bit. The requirements might be different. What you need to submit, what you need to fill out might be very different according to each airline and according to the country that you are traveling to. So I'm gonna go over some websites just to tell you how the requirements can be different so you can see what I mean. You guys know that it's not the first time I travel with Herky and Milton. We usually do direct flights from Montreal to California. That's the flight that the girls did the most often. But it did happen once that we did have to have a connection through Toronto, which would mean this is an inner Canada flight. And we've never had any issues before, and we always travel with Air Canada. This time, however, it seems that the rules have changed a bit because when I called them to inform them that I was traveling with emotional support dogs, they told me that it was maximum 1 emotional support animal per person. And since Herky and Milton are both my emotional support animals, Milton had to travel in a carrier as a pet in cabin for the Montreal to Toronto flight. We did this connection once before and it wasn't a problem, and I did inform them of the fact that we did this before. They still told me that that's the new rule. So that's just an example for you of things that change. I'm gonna kind of do a screen or something, or show you this thing. If you go on Air Canada's website in the traveling with the service animals section, you're gonna see that there's a section for service animals and a section for dogs as emotional support or psychiatric service animals, which means that those types of dogs are treated differently. So for everybody saying that emotional support dogs are not service dogs, you are right. They're not service dogs. They're treated completely different because they serve different purposes. So if you go in the dogs as emotional support section, you see that the requirement for Air Canada is that you advise them 48 hours in advance. You provide the supporting documents in the form of an original letter with letterhead of a licensed mental health professional. This can be a psychologist, psychiatrist, general practitioner who is treating the passenger's mental or emotional disability, or a licensed clinical social worker, dated within 1 year of departure. So this is extremely clear as to what you need to do. I don't really do 48 hours in advance. I usually do 1 or 2 months in advance, but know that you can just advise them 2 days in advance. It also confirms everything that the letter has to include down in this section. And please note that Air Canada does not accept any other animal than dogs as emotional support. Now, if we check at Air Transat, Transat is brand new that they are accepting emotional support. This is completely new because we were considering bringing them on an Air Transat flight before, and I found that there was no emotional support, but this is new and they are now accepted. So in this section regarding assistance dogs, they say, we are pleased to welcome on board emotional support and certified service dogs that are traveling with a person with a disability. So again, you see that emotional support dogs and service dogs are different. They recommend that you review the service animal section of the Canadian Transportation Agency website. They do have a list of dogs that they just do not accept on board as emotional support or service dogs. And they also say like country-specific restrictions. For example, Jamaica, there's no animals accepted on flights to Jamaica at all. To St. Lucia, Ireland, and UK, dogs are accepted as cargo only on Air Transat flights, but there's an exception to that. The exception is certified service dogs and emotional support dogs are accepted on flights to London. And hint, hint, if you missed our Q&A with Pixel, we are planning on coming to London in September of 2020, so stay tuned for that. We will definitely have a meetup and a pop-up for our brand Cavalier. So they tell you how to book. See, for Air Transat, you have to contact them 7 days prior to departure in order to inform them. So they say here, it's really important, assistance dogs will not be carried unless proper permits are obtained for entry into the country of transit or final destination, and such permits are presented prior to commencement of travel. So let's say I want to go to Mexico. I have to make sure that my travel documentation and my permit certifications, whatever, for Mexico are in due form before travel, and this makes total sense. If we check, for example, American Airline, you go on their website and it says everything that you need to do, flying in cabin, emotional support, trained animals, the requirements for everything, what animals cannot do, what happens if your dog is too big, etc., how your animal must behave. The advance notice required for emotional support or psychiatric service animal in cabin is 48 hours, and there's also a few forms that need to be filled out for American Airlines. So you have the emotional and psychiatric service animal document pack, and you also have an animal sanitation form that states that your dog will not go potty during the flight. Let's say, for example, I look at something in Europe, because I heard that in Europe it can be a bit more difficult. I just Google the airline and emotional support dog, and then I stumble on this website and this page called Transporting Animals from Air France. Okay, so for example, on airfrance.us, for flights operating to and from the United States, they even have two different things: assistance dogs and emotional support dogs. So these are accepted, and it states you everything you need to do. You have to mail in the form at this email address 48 hours in advance, etc., etc. So let's say for Lufthansa, I am reading on the website that recognized assistance dogs, such as, for example, guide dogs and hearing dogs, can be transported in the cabin free of charge on all Lufthansa flights. On routes to and from the US, emotional support dogs can be transported free of charge. So this just tells you, I have a feeling that European airlines, like to and from the US, accept emotional support dogs, but if it's within Europe, maybe it's not. Let's see Aegean Airlines, which is a Greek airline, emotional support dogs. So it seems like Aegean Airlines either accept pet in cabin, pet in cargo, or service dogs. So I don't think they accept emotional support dogs, but the pet in cabin has to be a maximum of 8 kilos, including the carrier. And then there's other requirements for pet and cargo. And then for service dogs, they are very specific. The trained service dogs are seeing eye dogs trained to lead passengers with impaired vision, etc., etc. So it's pretty specific, but I have a feeling that emotional support animals is a very US and Canada specific thing. I do have a reference, and I will leave it here again. If you do need access to a therapist for your ESA forms or your ESA letters, I will recommend going to myesadoctor.com. They're a very trustworthy website, and they're very easy to get in touch with, and it's completely online. So if you're in the US and you're looking for a physician or a therapist, they can fill out your forms, they can proceed to an evaluation, and if you do pass all the criteria, then they will issue you a letter or fill out any forms that you need for travel. So I hope this video is helpful for you, but if you do have any questions, leave them down below, and I will continue making these updated videos to help you out on this topic. And just a little reminder that we will be coming to Toronto on October 19th for a pop-up, and it will also be sort of a Cavalier meetup. It will be from 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. at Black Lab Brewing in Toronto, so I hope to see you there. We are super excited to come back to Toronto. And so thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're having a good one. We love you, and we'll see you soon. Bye!